has a plan, she has a plan, and you get to pay for it regardless. The best way to get someone motivated is to stand for something strongly, deeply, passionately.
Subscribe to Disenthrall.
Do as you're told.
Awesome. This is my first time at Anarchapulco. I am super excited to be here. When I was invited to speak, I spent a month freaking out because my usual audience is kind of the blue-pilled masses. I had no idea what I had to say that y'all wouldn't already know. And then I realized through talking to some of my friends that one of the most effective forms of my activism over the past 3 to 4 years has been something that I didn't even at the time really consider a form of activism, which is simply creating a tribe of people, creating a group of people in Dallas that are all of like mind, that are all voluntarists. And I'm going to cry if I talk about it too much. It is such a powerful thing to be surrounded by people that don't want to attack you, that, you know, you say taxation and stuff, and you're like, yeah, we know, man. We talk about it every Thursday. It is like coming home. It's finding, like, you guys come here for that, right? You travel across the world, spend thousands of dollars to have a few days with like-minded people. That's Thursday for me. Every week. It's so powerful. So, I want to share with you probably the most pragmatic, most practical, I'm just going to tell you how to do it speech that you're going to hear in this entire event probably. It's not going to be anything magical. We're not going to realign your chakras today. I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to give you step-by-step bullet points on go home, do this, 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 and this, and as long as you don't live in the middle of the desert, you're probably going to end up with some voluntarists around you where you live. Question. Can anyone, and I want this to be more of a conversation, everyone just raise your hand if you want to interrupt me with a question on what I'm talking about. I'll dive into it, no problem. Does anyone want to give me 1 or 2 sentences on why you're here?
To meet people that see things in a similar way, that's it.
Exactly. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I want to create content which will put in some soft skills to spread knowledge.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in connecting with people so when the shit really hits the fan, we can connect and survive.
Yes, sir.
The creation of voluntarist hubs and then interconnect them all so we can all collaborate together more effectively.
There you go. So this will be the spoke of the hub then.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Keeping up with the progress of the movement.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So
Apparently, I'm the only one that's here in it for the money.
Oh, the capitalist, ladies and gentlemen. So this talk is going to be mainly a brain download. I don't want it to be dry, but I'm just going to dump facts and dump how-to on you. So if you don't want to take notes or you don't have stuff to take notes or whatever, we're going to, on our website, disenthrall.me/tribe. That's the Facebook address. I'll give you the website address at the end. You'll be able to see the outline of this talk, all the bullet points, and then we're going to also publish a video. So if you want a copy of this video of this talk, toss your email address on our website, which goes back to what he was talking about. We are also trying to collect email addresses so that we can talk to our people directly, so that when we get banned from YouTube, we will be able to stay in touch. Okay, so we heard community. We definitely have community. We heard activism. You saw some of the activism that can fall out of a group like this. We built a guillotine in my front yard and pushed it to the Dallas County Courthouse and made speeches about jury nullification in my town. That was our local voluntarists. We feed the need once a year in December when it's freezing. It's illegal in Texas to feed the homeless. So just real quick, all of our guys get together, strap giant guns to our back, defy the police. We call them and tell them we're going to do it. We're going to feed the homeless. We're going to do it armed. You're going to leave us alone. And 6 years in a row they have. In other states in Texas, in other states in Texas, they get arrested for that. Community, friendship, mutual aid. My daughter was diagnosed with leukemia 6 months ago. I had no idea what it would be like to be part of a community that would support me during that. And the support came out of nowhere. It blew my mind. I cried multiple times. They set up on their own. They set up meal rotations where they would cook food and bring it to me twice a day, so that was one thing we didn't have to worry about when we were dealing with this stuff. That's community. That's the power of what I'm talking about. And you can't even get that from this event. You have to get that from where you live. Philosophy, man, we debate philosophy every single Thursday, and it gets heated and awesome, and it's one of my favorite things. I already talked to you about the activism. Okay, second question. Who here has a group or a community of volunteers where they live? Can you raise your hand and maybe tell us really quickly about it? Really quickly. You don't have to if you don't want to. Yes, sir.
Well, I did have it in Australia. We built communities where we fund everything we do through selling organic food products, up to 30 products, kombucha, sauerkraut, yogurt, and then we do activism and educational work at market stalls, at farmers markets, about selling the idea of liberty to people.
Anybody else want to say something really quick about what they have where they live? Yes, sir?
I'm from Northwest Arkansas.
Yep.
We have a group called the Ozark Voluntarist Network, and we have about 50 members or so. And
that's good.
we did a don't vote drive at the university recently.
Nice.
Had a lot of people come up and chat.
Yes, sir?
We're a tiny town, so we've got to create the volunteers to hang out with.
Totally fine.
We have a party of about a dozen people or so.
Okay, so now I'm going to brag. In Dallas, we have built one of the largest, if not the largest, group of volunteers in the world. We have almost 600 members. We meet every single week. Between probably 12 and 15 on average show up, and then we have all sorts of breakout events. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Okay, so now really quickly, I'm going to have to compress this to meet our time here. Let's see, basics. Here are the basics. I suggest not starting with Zuckerbook. One, you don't want to be regulated, taken down, banned. You don't ever even want that. Another thing is people are used to saying they're going to Facebook events and never going. Your response rate, your ability to advertise the group is lower on Facebook. I'm not saying don't create a Facebook group. I'm saying don't center it there. Don't center the RSVP list and the announcements and news on Facebook. I personally suggest and have been very successful with meetup.com. I don't know if any of you have heard of meetup.com. If you haven't, check it out when you get home. Search where you live to see if there's already a volunteers group. Somebody might have already done this where you live. Our meetup, if you want to check it out, is meetup.com/voluntarydallas. I would suggest every 2 weeks. So a lot of this is just going to be like lessons learned. I've tried different frequencies. I've tried different days. I've tried different times of day. I've tried 1,000 different locations, it seems like. So I'm just going to tell you what's worked best. I'm not saying it's going to be the thing for where you live. That's going to be different wherever you are. I'm just going to kind of dump things at you. After work hours, in the evening, every 2 weeks. If you do it every week, you're going to get burnout because people aren't going to want to come and talk every week. So every 2 weeks to even a month. Like if you have a less populated town, don't try and do it every 2 weeks even. Especially if people have to travel. If they're driving an hour and a half, once a month, that's fine. We do it every week because DFW is a massive metroplex, and what we do is we actually have one Thursday on the east side of the metroplex and the next Thursday on the other, so we try and capture the audience better. Never do weekends. People want to have fun on the weekends, and they don't want to risk an opportunity for fun for what they might consider to be an awkward meeting. Because remember, when you show up to a meetup, you're basically walking into a group of strangers that you don't know. It might be boring. It might be really awkward or uncomfortable. A lot of people are introverts, and they don't want to even walk into that situation, so they're not going to risk their weekends on it. I do Thursdays. That's my favorite day for it. It's before the weekend, and it works good. Thou shalt not use your house or your backyard. Strangers will not want to come to somebody's house. They want to go somewhere public where there's other people. It feels more normal and less awkward. Definitely not your backyard, even though barbecues are great. Do barbecues and hangouts at houses as breakout sessions that other people can organize. Make your meetup in a public place. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. Not bars. Thou shalt not do it at bars. Alcohol is, of course, up to the individual, and if your location has alcohol, don't try and regulate or control what people drink. But the venue should not be a bar. That's the wrong environment. The environments you're looking for with setting up your meetup are environments where you can hear each other and talk and connect and discuss things and talk about what you believe and don't believe and what's been going on in the world and things like that. If it's a loud environment, if it's all about the alcohol, it'll be more difficult to connect. My experience. Your mileage may vary on that one. Okay. Thou shalt have 2 locations for each meetup day. The first location should be a food location. The second location should be a relax and chill location. And what that means is the meetup starts, let's say, at 6:30 p.m. at the food location. You guys spend an hour and a half or so eating, hanging out, getting fed. Then you leave, and everybody goes, hopefully a short distance away, to the relax location, coffee shop, something like that. What this does is it extends the time of the meetup before people start getting bored, changes the venue, keeps it fresh, and then you move to a new relaxing environment where you can now just sip coffee and discuss current events or philosophy, or finish the debate that you started over dinner. Order of importance for priority for food location. And this is a hard-won list of priorities. So this stuff may seem minor, but it is actually very important. In order of importance, make sure that it is, how do I say it, ethical. Make sure it's in line with voluntarism. So in Texas, if it's an anti-gun establishment, we will not set foot anywhere near that place. So if they don't allow open carry, if they don't allow concealed carry, you don't get our business. And oftentimes, if we're feeling naughty, we'll have the whole group walk in and let the manager think they're about to get a lot of business, and we'll be like, oh, sorry, we can't go here because you're anti-gun, and then we all leave. Must not be loud. So this is number 2. This is like the most important thing. It has to, the whole point of the meetup is interact. So no live band venues, no places without music, or no places with so many people that you have to yell to be heard. You want a quieter environment. Number 3, must not require splitting the group to different tables or rooms. So you need a place with a large table that everyone can sit together. Again, this is the whole point. You don't want to split off into little groups of 4, because then you'll have a group of 4 that only ever talks to themselves, and you'll get these little mini pockets groups that develop over time. You want everybody together. And as the organizer, you want to get up and move and sit down a couple times over the night to talk to different people and mix it up. Number 5, and this is one of the lowest items on the list, if not the lowest, and this might be controversial to some. Satisfying special dietary needs or preferences only when convenient. The meetup is not about making everybody happy with the food choices or even the quality of the food. The meetup is about hanging out with people and making a community and talking to people. If you have a special food requirement, eat before you come, because this is not about your food. This is about hanging out and being a group of like-minded people. Some people aren't going to like that. Sorry, the group first. So don't sacrifice any of the above that I said for the sake of this one. Like I said, people can eat beforehand. This issue can dominate the others, especially if you make it a group discussion. I suggest that you don't even make it a discussion. The group is not involved in picking the venue. You are the organizer. It is a hierarchy. Deal with it. Same for general food quality. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be... You want edible food, but that's about all you need. It's about the community. Suggestions. Restaurants with patios if you live in a climate that can support it. Being outside is usually quieter, more comfortable, more free-feeling. But that's weather dependent on where you live. Relax location. Same basic rules. Not anti-principled or anti-gun. Not be loud. Don't split the group up. Don't be too expensive. Must be open late. Because sometimes your people will get into these awesome conversations and they will not want to quit. And when you get kicked out of the restaurant, it feels like your meetup just like hit a wall and stuttered and it just kind of disappears out from under you. It's not good. 10, 11, midnight if possible. As late as you can for the chill location. Satisfy special dietary needs and preferences is down low on the list again. Coffee shops is a great one. Bookstores with patios is also a great one, as long as it has coffee or some kind of comfortable drinks, maybe even beers at that point. Still not a bar. You want a real chill location. Okay. More basics. Remember to make your reservations where appropriate with enough time for the venue to prepare space for your group. This is like one of those no shit things, but just remember to do it. You're the organizer. No one else's job is going to be to make the reservation. You have to do that. And you have to know how many people to ask for. So it's good to remind your people, your group, hey, please remember to RSVP on the meetup site. This is the reason you tell them, even though there's a more important reason for them to do it that I'll tell you later. You want them to RSVP on meetup.com so that you can make the appropriate size reservation for the table, but also because it makes your meetup appear active. And the active meetup will attract all the new people. If you don't have RSVPs on each of your meetups, when people look at the past meetups, they'll be like, oh, this is a dead meetup. I'm not even going to show up. You want everyone to RSVP. You would rather someone RSVP and not show than show and not RSVP for that purpose. I typically reserve a couple spots over because not everyone RSVPs ever.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Can you force RSVP on me?
You don't want to force anything because you want people to come no matter what. Priority one is build a community, have people show up. Just request, hey, next time can you try and RSVP just so I can know how many people to reserve the table for? And if they don't, or we have a couple guys that just don't, fine. I'd rather have their presence there than have their check mark at the end of the day. Thou shalt, as the organizer, always show to every single one of your meetups, especially until you have regulars. If you can't show up, cancel it in advance, not at the last minute. You never, ever want a new person to arrive to find no one there. They will literally never return. That will be a burned link in the chain in your city. And one person leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. So if you break the chain, you've lost not just one person, you've lost a lot. If you have a meetup, be there, even if you're the only one. And in the beginning, you will be the only one, which is another thing to keep in mind. We'll talk about expectations soon. When new people show up, be prepared to be the one that engages them with discussion. I always say I love, and this is honest though, I love origin stories. If I had time today, I would sit down with every single person in this room and see, how did you become an anarchist? I want to know. Tell me about, where you started, where you are now, and everything in between. People enjoy talking about themselves in new situations with strangers, usually. If they're an introvert and you can kind of tell they're cringy about it, no pressure. There's no pressure here. I was just curious about you. Maybe they'll ask about you and be prepared to tell your origin story 100 times. That's fine. Early on, have one or two topic suggestions in mind. So before you have a lot of people, before everyone knows each other and has made friends, have a topic in mind that you can throw out there. If a lull in the conversation happens and people are just started, kind of sitting there, awkwardly eating their food. Hey, what do you think about the Houston police murders where they broke into a house over heroin that wasn't there and murdered everyone in the building? That just happened, by the way. Just stuff like that to kick-start the conversation, to get people talking, which will form the relationships, which will prevent you from needing to do that again in the future. Never force it, though. Don't try and control the conversation. Don't direct the conversation. If the conversation's happening, that's what you want. You've already won. The group will develop its own personality. Expect that, and it will probably not be what you wanted or expected as an organizer. Let it happen. A lot of times it goes in cool places. It will just how do I describe this? There's a meetup group in Austin, Texas that has almost as much almost as much attendance as we do. Is that 9 minutes or 9 seconds? Whew. Okay. I'm trying, I really am. What was I saying? Austin almost has as much attendance as we do. The personality, the feel of that meetup group is totally different from ours. You go there, and I don't say this stuff disparagingly, it's much more like hippie, laid back, do drugs and hang and chill or whatever. I'm sorry. That's not me. So our meetup group is kind of different than that. It's like we debate philosophy. We have objective discussions about the nature of the universe, and we hash through the ethics of all kinds of crazy situations. And it's more like intellectual and challenging and entrepreneurial, and we discuss what we're doing in our careers and our businesses and things like that. That's our feel, and that's our personality, and that's fine too. Okay. Let's go to some more advanced tips before I run out of time. Again, if I don't get to everything, I'll have a link to the website at the end. Let me go ahead and put that up. Yep. All right, cool. So disenthrall.me/tribe will take you to the bullet points of everything I've said here today. Okay, advanced information. I said let your group talk, let the conversation flow where it may, let the personality go where it's going to go, but step in if and only if the personality starts going sideways, like away from the core principle of voluntarism and the non-aggression principle. And this can happen. Wall builders. We've got some wall builders in Dallas that call themselves anarchists. They followed Molyneux off that cliff. They do show up because it's a voluntarist meetup. That happens from time to time. That conversation comes up. We have the conversation because that's what the group's about, and we see if we can convince them. But if we can't convince them and the conversation keeps coming up and it starts becoming a sore, I'm like, look, hey, you might need to go find a meetup that's centered around what you're interested in talking about. This meetup is for voluntarism and the non-aggression principle. So you have to kind of carefully put your foot down only kind of after it starts to become a sore spot or a problem, or your meetup group starts to drift away from core principles. Relativists, consequentialists, this is a big one. Libertarian party politics will creep in, especially if you have a large libertarian community in your area. We have a very vibrant libertarian party community in Dallas, and they do come to the meetups. And them discussing the current events news of their politicians' attempts at seeking power for the purpose, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but they'll just bring it up over and over because that's what interests them. But that's not what the meetup's about. So sometimes I have to politely remind them in a side discussion. Changing locations will be necessary from time to time. Restaurants close down, things like that happens. It is the single largest cause of lost membership. People show up and it's closed and they didn't know it changed. Even though you changed it on the website, if they had looked, they would know. They don't look. Change your location as few times as possible. People get used to seeing where the meetup is in the notification and don't look. Anytime you change locations for a couple weeks after, keep the app open on your phone because they'll message the meetup and you need to get those messages immediately and respond and say, hey, no, we're here. There's an app with messaging and email and everything. Do not let the location become a democratic process because no one will ever be happy with you ever again. I'm giving you the information that you need to know to pick the best location for your meetup. Be an organizer, lead this thing, pick where it goes, and if they want the community you're trying to build, they will show up. That's it. That was a little frustration. Handling drama, problem people. I don't want to... 5 minutes? Okay, we can do this. So, I know you'll be really surprised, but some anarchists are a little edgy. Sometimes they come with a point to make to the group, especially people that maybe aren't voluntarists or have some other, we've got anarcho-socialists in Dallas that occasionally might want to show up to try and convince us of something, to teach us a thing or two. And so sometimes, if they come once, great, we have a great conversation, we have a debate. My group loves that shit. Yeah. We love it. We eat socialists for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's fine. But if they show up twice and 3 times and their arguments aren't moving and they're just bringing it down, and we're like, look, we're tired of telling you how wrong you are. Then I pull them aside. I'm like, look, there's other meetups, man. If you want to talk about other things, please stay. If not, find another place. It's okay to tell people that. You're curating a group of awesome people as hands-off as possible, but you want to keep it centered. It's like you want to keep the ball balanced, is what I'm saying. Relativist, consequentialist, Wallanu, ANCAPs. Wallanu? Okay. The only time I've ever had to expressly, overtly ban someone is when they became a threat. I don't think they were all there in the head. They owned weapons. They were unhappy with some people for random non-reality conforming ideas, so we had to ban them. It didn't turn into anything crazy. That's going to happen anytime you have a large group of people in one place. You're going to get some interesting people from time to time. Just like in the office, always handle your conflicts offline in one-on-one conversations. Never do that stuff in front of the group. The group doesn't care or need to know about it. Take it to the side. Just like you would in an office environment if you're a manager. I'm not going to call out one of my employees in front of everybody, in front of their coworkers. I'm going to call them. I'm going to ask them to step into my office, let's say, and have a personal conversation with them. Okay, kind of the last section here. 3 minutes. Thank you for that. You're awesome. Encourage breakout hangouts that aren't official meetup events. I only do the once a week events on Thursdays. That is the home base. That's the touchstone for the community. I don't organize. I don't control. I don't want a say in anything else the group does. I want them to be self-starters. I want them to go off and do their own thing and get other people interested in what they're interested in. So we've got a farmer that has an entire farm with cows and pigs and all this crazy stuff. And he likes bringing people out to his farm to, show everybody what he's doing, shoot his guns, whatever. I don't even make those official events. He runs them. The only thing I ask him is that no one ever schedule something that conflicts with the home base day. Do what you want, schedule whatever you want. You can even talk to all them, email all the members. That's what it's for. Let everybody know. Go do your thing. You should encourage that, not shy away from it. You want everybody else to self-start. The meetup should be thought of as the home base. So go do all this fun stuff, and then come back on Thursdays and tell us about it. All right. Examples of sidechain events. We all just speak blockchain now, right? Skill sharing, farming, prepping, shooting, recreation, gaming, sports, boating, movie nights. We have a robing band of anarchists in Dallas. We wear large fluffy bathrobes and all go en masse to movie theaters and watch movies together. It's fantastic. Street activism, some of the stuff you saw here. Charity, the Feed the Need cop defying event where we help people in defiance of the police. Road trips, we went to Candles in the Dark in Arkansas with half of our meetup group one time. That was an amazing road trip. We all bonded and built the community around that. It was great. Events like this, speakers. Last couple things in my 1 minute, 30 seconds. A couple ideas for recruiting. Bring a little flag or a sign or something for your table so that when people walk into your restaurant, they're not going to know who to ask for or what to look for. But if they see probably don't do like a fuck the state sign in a restaurant, but like, taxation is theft would be a great sign for your table because they'll see that and probably know what it is, Or like, ask me why taxation is theft. And then you might get some curious people in the restaurant that'll come and join you. It's great for recruiting. Don't dress so edgy or scary with anarchist garb that you might turn off a more conservative type new person. The first time he showed up, I'm there in like camo shorts and like a V for Vendetta bloody shirt with I open carry my pistol every day of my life, so I've got my gun. And he walks in for the first time and he like goes to the bathroom and almost didn't stay. Like one of my best friends in this world, I almost missed that opportunity because I was dressed edgy. So I don't do that anymore at the meetups.
So no more than two open carry firearms at any one time.
Or at least dress nice when you do it. And then, just like this, pimp your meetup in every forum possible, every Facebook group, every forum, every event you go to, every person you talk to. Hey, if you're from Texas, make sure you're aware that in Dallas, we have one of the world's largest volunteers meetup groups in the world. Come hang out sometime. There. See, I just did it. 4 seconds. Boom. Thank you, guys. All right. While he's walking up, the last thing I'll say is that I want to mentor you. So if you do this in your home place, please consider me a resource. If you have questions, if you need help, if you hit snags, contact me. I want to help you. This is my activism.
Patrick Smith, ladies and gentlemen, one more time.